Do you know how to set up your paper for a good watercolor painting without using any tape? Hello, I'm Coach Lance Meyer of GRAS Ministries, a partner ministry with the City for God, and tonight got just a little bit of time as I am getting ready for the fall paint and sip, the fall into fall. Going to be on November 16th at the North Avenue Market, and so this is going to be the picture that we're going to use for a guideline on that event. Love the colors in there, and then you're going to have some bright greens and yellows and reds and oranges, so lots of cool fall colors and maybe a little bit less of the blues that I normally use. So I'm going to today just very briefly show how to set up a paper without using any tape. And one of the things you can do, I've got my drawing kind of lightly in there. Yeah, you can see that a little bit. So what I'm going to do is flip the page over. I've got from Cheap Joe's here the kind of strong board you can put your paper on, and this is Arches. It's a 9.5 inch, 9 by 12 I should say, and all I'm going to do is take the biggest brush I have, dip it in water, and I've got the paper again flipped over, and I'm just going to wet that whole side over there, and go back over that. Going to work very quickly and just get some water on that entire piece of paper. And make sure it's all damp. I want to make sure it's relatively the same amount of water. So you want it pretty wet, but not so ridiculous that water's running everywhere. It should have just a little gleam to it. Kind of going back over here without adding any more water to kind of take a little water off, and just has it very damp. And now I'm going to just flip that right around, flip it right over, and I'm going to put that right down on my paper like that. And now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. In this particular case, I'm going to have the whole thing kind of wet. We're just going to throw basically some yellows on there tonight and just kind of get some gold and yellow and most of that background area, and the yellow will kind of blend into the reds and greens. So I'm not really trying to keep a whole lot of whites. There may be a couple of spots I'll keep lighter. I can always dap it with a paper towel, but this is going to end up being mostly a background of yellow and goldish colors. So I'm not worried about keeping, you know, sometimes when I'm doing a sky, I'm just doing wet on wet up there, or I'm just going to wet that whole paper again on the front side. And same technique, throw the water down, be pretty generous with it. And if there's too much, I can always dap it off with a little towel. I was going to say my Central Division Champion Brewer's towel, of course, would be the one you'd want to use, but I think I left it downstairs or put it in the wash. So got to be a little careful here as I am taking off a little bit of my drawing when I do that. Just kind of lightly put in there, and I do see the good thing is with this particular picture, you know, if the leaf's not quite right, we'll be all right. And I can still see mostly what I'm doing, and I do have my painting or my picture to kind of use as a reference anyway. You know, when I'm doing portraits, I want to make sure I'm using, you know, I'd want to make sure I keep those dark in there a little bit so I can really see where I'm going, because that's going to really matter. But on a leaf painting, you know, if the leaf's a little bit off, we're going to be all right. Okay, you can kind of almost see that little gleam. Yeah, there you go. See that little gleam? That's what we want. And then, you know, if it's a little damper on the outside here. Okay, I was hoping to have my little towel here. Looks like my brewer one's in the wash. I'll have to use a golf towel. Just gonna damper on the outside here a little bit if there's too much water. There we go. Okay, now this is really nice. It's nice and wet, clean. It's got that little not water running everywhere. I noticed I'm holding this almost straight up and down. Now I'm holding it straight up and down, and it still sticks. Okay, so that water forms a seal. So the other way you can do it was with tape, but this technique really allows you that water to just kind of hold it down, and allows you to use the whole of the paper. I like whenever possible to use that as my technique. All right, we're going to grab another round of a little bit of water, and especially in the areas that are my negative space, which is kind of around the flowers and or the leaves and stuff. I'm gonna maybe add just a little more water, and I'm gonna kind of start with that. Some of that yellow will bleed into the leaves and stuff too, because it's just wet on wet, so that's fine. I want goldish colors in there. I'll probably start with kind of a yellow. Okay, kind of did my area that's mostly the negative space. All right, here we go. Grab another brush, and we're going to use, I'm going to start with the most kind of a Hansa yellow, but your brightest, in this case maybe a little bit of a cooler yellow, but Hansa I think is probably actually a little warm, but anyway, good solid yellow. There we go. And we're just going to kind of work that negative space, and I'm also going to color this little leafy in here, and yeah, there's a couple these little guys. I may kind of generally do a little bit of my drawing back in here where some of these little yellow spots are, the brighter yellows with that Hansa. I'll also fill in this leaf right here because that is a very bright green, and adding blue to that will do that. We're going to work very quickly though. If I can keep kind of the shape of the leaf, great. If not, no worries. And I'll do the same thing up here. This bright Hansa yellow, where a bright blue will turn that nice green. I was going to do that after it dried, but I may even add some blue in there just to pop that green right away. And then I have a green working in through here as well. So now I'm kind of redrawing the leaves a little bit. Doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm trying to get more of these yellows and kind of background art, although that's more my greens, I guess. I'm gonna now grab more of a, this is nickel yellow. It's a great one I use in portraits a lot. Gold, ochre will work as well. And if you don't have two different color yellows, no worries, just put the yellow down and we'll adjust it a little bit. You could add just a little red to it or a little orange to put that little color in there if you really needed to. But this is a much more golden color. And again, I'm gonna work that through here. Just trying to get these colors very quickly on the page. I may end up even filling up most of this page with color with this yellow, because the reds are gonna and oranges are gonna mix with that anyway. I may try to keep a little integrity of the drawing, so maybe not doing all of it. There we go. But that's a little more gold than that popping with yellow. Okay, there we go. Just kind of getting this all in here. Wow, it's pretty wet. If you're working in like Arizona, it's going to dry really quick, so you got to work super fast. You may even have to re-wet it a little bit. But here in Wisconsin, we got a little humidity. We'll be all right. Okay, I think that's probably good. You can kind of see a couple shapes without really doing all that. Now, could just leave it at that. I am going to, because I like the green, and I know I can get those greens in there, and that's going to kind of be an important part of this painting. So I'm going to just grab another brush here. I could clean that one. I usually keep in multiple brushes, but you can do it with one. I'm going to grab some manganese blue. Could use cerulean blue, that would work. But I know this will keep a nice bright green when I mix it with that Hansa. And so I'm just kind of putting that into this leaf area. It's not quite doing what I thought it would, but yeah, you got a kind of pretty green there. Okay, just kind of putting that leafy in there. And there you go. I have to grab a little phthalo blue to make it more green. I can do that too. Let me try to do that quick, although I don't want to get that too dark. It's a very yellowish. Okay, I think I'm just going to leave that at that. We're just trying to get the color in there. We're not really trying to get this all perfect. All right, here we go. Now this one, it's really a pretty, mix that handsome, mix the, there we go. It's just kind of running right off the page, then it kind of works its way back here. And again, the more you can get the drawing, great, but we're not overly worried about staying in the lines or anything. Just trying to get that color in there. Okay, that we got our green here. It's just a more yellowish green. I'm gonna try that again over here. I mixed a little Hansel back in there. Just kind of get that shape. Okay, and this one comes back this way, and right there. Again, just getting the colors in there. And now we got one more kind of greenish one over here. We could switch. I'll switch this one up to phthalo just to change that a little bit. So they're all the same. I could be mixing red with that too to dull it, but right now I'm just trying to get that bright green in there. Okay, this kind of runs. There's a, yeah, flower. I do have to be a little careful here and keep the integrity of that yellow. Okay, and then this just kind of runs off the page here and runs up into a little point right there. Okay, that looks good. I got my 3 green colors, and there's one more little one kind of running through here. I'll just kind of throw in here. There we go. And there's a little method to the madness on this too. If you'll notice, my star of the show is kind of right there. And so I have these kind of pointing to it a little bit. I'll get into that as far as design as we go through this. I could come back and add my reds in there on top of the yellows. I think for now I'm just going to leave it and let this dry. The reds, and I'm not worried about them not showing up, or I just kind of wanted to get that green in there because I know that yellow and blue would mix nicely. So all right, that is how you very quickly set up a painting for success. And I could add some reds in there, but today I'm just going to leave it like that. It's got the nice Packer colors, and we're just going to leave it at that. Go Brewers.